First up, we have Mad Tracks, which is only available till the 17th of July. So if this looks interesting to you, you need to hurry up and grab it. It was released in 2006, so it's an older game. There wasn't really a Metacritic score I could find. It's $10 normally, and it's about 3 hours to beat. And I call this a car mini game. This game isn't really racing. You'll have some race tracks and you have some power-ups, so kind of that Mario Kart feel. But there's a lot of mini games mixed in, where you have a pool table where you have to play pool, bowling, and various other games. So this isn't just a racing game, which makes it appeal to a wider audience. Very simple controls. You have a gas and brake, but there is this bar in the middle bottom, which allows you to see how much gas you can apply. And once that bar runs out, you have to let go of gas and let it recharge. So it's like a car battery. And you can pick up power-ups to redeem this, or just let off gas for a little bit to let it charge back up. There was no need for me to brake much. This is a racing game to fit everyone, but like I said, it's kind of more mini game, so it's more fun, but I rarely even use the brake. The graphics are dated. The cars are very simple models, but then again, this came out in 2006. It appears to be like this arcadey 360 game that came out. But overall, I'm going to say not to download this. I was slightly entertained. It was kind of cool to see the mini games, but I had no reason to go back to this. After I was done recording, I deleted it immediately. There was no reason I felt myself going there. But the pros here is if you want a game to kind of goof off with and play with a couple other people, it's probably fun there. The con here is if you're looking for a racing game, this is not a racing game, so it's like a bunch of mini games. So if you're looking to play something car mini games, you may like it, but it's not racing, so stay away from it. Next up, we have Reus, which is a Dutch word for giant, and this came out in 2013, and this is only up until July 24th, so you have to pay attention to this. It doesn't end at the end of July. Metacritic score is 75, $10, and about 8 hours of gameplay time you'll have, and this is a strategy god game. So basically, you're control these giants on this planet, and a lot of times these planets are basically dried out, so you have to create water, mountains, forests, swamps, and doing this and combining them. So if you put a mountain near in the dry lands, it'll create deserts beside it, but if you put water down, you'll start getting forests beside those sections. So it's a lot of combining these powers to create new things. And each of the giants have more abilities, and combining these abilities help it too. So you can have place plants down with like the forest giant, and then come around with the swamp giant and combine his plants to make new plants. And basically, if you make something well enough, you can get citizens to make a village there and make a giant ambassador that you can upgrade your giants more. So this game is very, I wouldn't say turn-based, but it's a strategy game. You have to synchronize to get new things and build up civilizations and build up the overall planet. The graphics are cool. I like the giant characters. They were kind of cool to see in the interaction. But this is a strategy game, so there isn't really much going on. You're just trying to make this planet inhabitable. And for that reason, I would say not to download this. For me, there was not enough to keep me interested. I thought it was kind of cool at first, but it just kind of was slow. People that would like this and see this as a pro would be like people that like them civilization-style games. Not the ones that like Command and Conquer. Like, I didn't have much battles going on through my playtime. But it was more just trying to get to the next era of my civilization of this planet. And the con here, it is still a strategy game at heart. So it's just kind of clicking, watching what's happening, wait for something to pop up so you can build something else. So overall, I said it was a not for me, but I could see the potential of the other game. Next up, we have Turok 2, Seeds of Evil. So if you remember a couple months ago, we did Turok 1, and I said do not download it. So this is the sequel that came out in '98, but this is the remastered version that came out in 2017 for PC. There was no rating for this. It was $20 on Steam, and the length is about 10 hours. So this is an old style first-person shooter, and the iguana intros, just, that's my nostalgia there again. I'm showing it here. I still like these intros. They look very bad now, but they were so entertaining. I remember starting a game, but then I remember seeing this a lot. Like, you ended up skipping it, but it was kind of cool that first time you got this game. So with everything I hated with the first one, you saw immediate improvements, and it was kind of nice. First, we have a story. That was my first complaint of the first game, was like, you just start it and you're shooting dinosaurs and you didn't really know what was happening unless you had the booklet. This one talks about these dinosaur slash human things taking over. That's also dinosaurs around, and you're trying to save this civilization, and you actually have goals in the levels now, so you can save the children. You have to get the keys, start up the distress signals, so there's a lot to do in the level. When I started the game, finally, there's a crosshair. That was my biggest complaint, and it was there. So it was like, yes, I have a crosshair now. You can still pull up the map to overview everything, but you have a crosshair, so I didn't have to keep playing with the map open. And the game just starts fast. Like, you start, and it's automatically, there's a boss in front of you. And then after I killed this boss, the old school problems came back. I kind of ran around this little dock area, found some stuff by the ship. I didn't know where to go. I found there's an icon, so they do mark things for you on the map. And I needed a power cell, but I couldn't find a power cell. Didn't know what to do. Played around. Got frustrated, started shooting things. And there was this barrel. I shot the barrel and it exploded, and that's where you're supposed to go. So it was like that misdirection, old school style of like, oh, you shoot the one random thing to continue. Nothing indicated. There's no clear path. Like, we don't have that too much today. Like, we would have secret areas that do that. But we don't do that anymore in games, and that was the problem here. There was a lot of backtracking, jumping through portals, and remembering what portal led where was kind of confusing. But overall, I was on the fence with this one, but I would mark this as a download, actually. And I think the reason is because the first one I did trash, and you saw a lot of improvements. I felt Turok 2 was a better game than Turok 1, and it really shows. So I would say download this. This is a throwback shooter, is the pro. If you played this nostalgia, you're going to love this game. The con is it's an old game. There is that frustration of misdirection and trying to figure out what to do next. Next up, we have Kunai, which came out this year in February and was made by published by the Arcade Crew, which was kind of cool. I never heard of them before until I played the game here, and there's another one later on. It was a Metacritic score of 78, $15, and you're looking about 8 hours of gameplay, and it's a platformer. And the story here, there was a robot uprising, and your group, the good group, brought back Tabby, which you're a tablet that you run around and you find a sword, and you just start platforming and playing the level. Very smooth controls. The game played wonderfully, and I enjoyed the graphics a lot. It's like this weird, I wouldn't say hand-drawn, but it's like that. It was a little jarring at first, but I got used to it very fast and enjoyed the look of the game overall. Kunai is the game, and you get 2 of them in the level, and you use left and right trigger to shoot them to climb up. So you can shoot one left and one right in this diagonal fashion. You can't control the direction you shoot them, but you can just control which hand is, and that's how you start progressing through the level. So this opened up the world a lot and made a fun, interactive game. This will remind you a lot of probably like Hollow Knight style. There's some stuff that gets thrown in there that's very influenced from there, the Castlevania style games and all. And I enjoyed this. There's each world, and you gotta go through backtracking. Like, you enter this like haunted place, and you have to leave out. And since you found a new weapon, you can continue on. And there's blocks to stop you from getting too far. Another thing that was very impressive to me that I didn't think I was gonna like, but really enjoyed, was Tabby's facial expressions. Like, when you swing the sword a bunch, he gets very angry. When you fight the boss and then end up beating him and get the secret, his face brightens up. It was just these subtle things that I found really enjoyable. It was weird. I didn't think I was going to like that. And that helped the game a lot. And there were some jokes here. There's a lot of computer jokes. Again, Robot Uprising, which I found humorous. So I would say download this. This was actually an amazing game. The pros here is it's a fun twist. Like, these kunai make it fun to kind of navigate and do a lot of wall climbing and stuff. and it was very good controls. The con here is if you hate platformers, maybe a good game if you played Hollow Knight and didn't like it, you may not like this one. Next up, we have Grip Combat Racing, and this came out in 2018, got Metacritic score 74, and you're looking about 14 hours of gameplay at a $30 game normally. And this is based off the Roll Cage games that came out like in 99, 2000. So if you know that game, just download this. It's heavily influenced by it, and you will love it. This is a racing game, and it's a future racing game where you kind of climb the walls. Like, gravity isn't a factor. You just need enough speed for your car to stick to the wall, and you go upside down, sideways, and the tracks take advantage to this a lot. There's one track that's like you're just in a tube, so it's just ridiculous what you can do. There's power-ups. A lot of the power-ups are pretty cool. You're going to want the missile a lot to shoot the other cars. The graphics are really cool, and the customizing cars are very broad because you just have the color palette, so you can make your own colors, and you can customize a lot of things, and that was really fun. The controls are good, but the tutorial was odd. Playing through this tutorial, like, I felt like I could click through these prompts, but sometimes I couldn't. So I felt like some of the prompts are just really fast, and other ones aren't too great, or was stuck on the screen longer than what they should have. And I found that good. The one shock to me was when I started playing the racing after the tutorial, Luther Vandross was on the soundtrack. And I was very confused to hear that. It was the song with 1,000 Kisses in it. I forgot the title, it slipped my mind now. But I heard the beginning, and I was like, is this really on the soundtrack? And then, yeah, sure enough. So the soundtrack is good. There's a mix of unknown songs, and then, again, there was this very popular song that I wasn't expecting, so it was a good soundtrack. Enjoyed the weapon power-ups. The game is on the difficult side. I just started playing, so I'm assuming it was set to normal, but some races at the beginning were very easy, and then they started getting harder. It was a lot more, your car was flipping, so if you miss a flip, like if you come out upside down and you need to be on the ground, you're going to probably flip a little bit and slow down, and cars are going past you, so you got to learn the levels. But each of these levels were very unique, where I wanted to continue playing a lot. It was hard for me to put this game down because each level was just so unique. I wanted to try it. So there's a lot of replayability. Once you learn the levels, you can probably do really well in the race. So overall, download this game. The pros here, it was very entertaining, and if you're looking for a unique racing game, this was pretty unique. And again, if you played Roll Cage, you'll like this. The cons here is, if you hate racing or just like sim racing, just stay away from this because you have that battle aspect and it's very arcadey. Next up, we have Dear Esther, and this came out in 2012, and it was based off a mod of the Source engine that was done in 2008. The Metacritic score is 75, it's $10, and you're looking about an hour. It took me a half hour to beat the game. And this is a first-person story, and I used the word game earlier. I probably shouldn't have done that, because this isn't a game. This is basically a narrator telling you a story. We don't really know who the narrator is, but we're assuming Esther is his wife or someone very close to him that died in a car accident, and he's just going through this narration. Something you're going to realize a lot, they talk about kidney stones a lot. That was a big aspect of this game, which was weird. And it confused me at starting out because I thought this was going to be a horror game because you start out on this dock and there's a house in front of you, flashlight came up. I'm like, crap, stuff is going to jump out at me. And then I looked at the controls and all I have is walk and zoom. And I was like, oh, well, this sucks. So this pace you're seeing, that's as fast as you can go. And then I realized, oh, this is just a novel game of just looking at these cool scenery lands and going through the story until you end. The game looks really good, and I could see this being fun as a mod. This was really impressive that they did it. And the story is very vague. Like I said, the narrator, you could tell is close to Esther, but you get the feeling it's his wife, but nothing's really stated, so it's a lot of mystery in this story, and it's left to how you interpret it. You don't even know if the narrator has any relation to Esther, because the story even goes to talk about someone else from like the 1800s, so you don't know where you're kind of at. And my biggest problem was I was expecting a game when I started this. I never heard of this until I started playing it, And that was a big disappointment to me. I just started playing and I was like, I have nothing to do except walk. And that's what it became to me. It was just walking, going through this story. But oddly, the most fun I had was there was this director's commentary, which I clicked on the Valve games. I like the Valve's commentary, but I was like, let me try that because I really didn't like the game. But when I clicked the director's commentary, that was amazing. Like, I had a lot of fun. Like, the story was going. I was just listening to how they developed the game, and that was more fun to me. So overall, I would say do not download this. The pros here would be, like, if you're very big into visual novels and just want, like, a cool story to hear while playing a game and looking at environments, this is a game for you. There is some scenes where you'll see, like, figures walking around, which is kind of eerie, but it was weird. And the con here is it's not a game. So if you're looking to play a game, don't play this. I would say a pro here is if you like a lot of, like, development stories, I would play that just for that, because that was kind of cool, and it was just walking around and hearing them talk about the game. Next up is Dark Devotion, the second game from the Arcade Publishing Group that I just heard of this month. This came out last year, has a Metacritic score of 72, $20, and you're looking at about a 16-hour game here. And this is a side-scroller, and basically you're exploring this land of a fallen temple. So this is kind of like, the game gets compared a lot to Dark Souls, and you're kind of in that time period, I would say. But overall, the game reminded me a lot of Dead Cells, because you'll go through this main hub to get, like, whatever weapons you found and set up your character, and then get back into the level. And then when you die, if you haven't hit checkpoints, which are teleportation, you have to continue where you left off or jump back there. So it was a little Dead Cells, not as bad Dead Cells, because Dead Cells you had to start from the beginning, but it had that vibe still. And you collect stuff, so you're going to die a lot. This is a difficult game, and like I said, it's kind of compared to Dark Souls, that time period, as well as the difficulty. There's just going to be times you're just going to die. You don't really get much health. You get around 5 hits at the beginning. Sometimes if you don't have a shield, you'll only get 2 hits. So if you get hit twice, you got to start back from your teleport. And everything here is based on collecting faith. Like I said, you have to pray at altars, and that's where you can save, get health and set a teleport up to go back to. So that's kind of your saves. There's a lot of cool weapons in this game. I had, like, spell books to do spells. You got your swords, these claws, and you could pick up the boss's weapons, which was very unique. So that was cool. And speaking of the bosses, they were unique and fun. When you first play, you this is one of them games that starts you off like you have everything and everything's fun, and then it's like you die and you start back at the beginning. So it's like, oh, this is what I can become. And it was an awesome game, and the bosses were very unique. I like them. They were well done. I was always excited to come across a boss, and the art style is really good. I liked it. Everything looked cool. And speaking of bosses and weapons, the boss here that was attached, you get his huge sword spike thing that you were able to use. I ended up dying a lot because of it, because it's so slow, but it was unique there. And overall, this game is a download. I was really enjoying myself. And this is, again, if you like Dark Souls as a pro here, you'd probably like this. It's kind of the same setup. It's just a 2D version. And if you like side-scrollers, you'll like this game a lot. Again, smooth controls. I enjoyed this a lot. The con here, it is a difficult game, so it's going to be a lot of struggling. It's on the darker side, so if you don't like dark games, that's going to be a turn-off for you. But overall, this was very unique. Last game up is Melbits World. This game is also on the PS4 and Switch. The reason I mentioned the PS4 is because that's part of that Play Link where you could play on your phone. And that's unique, but you don't get that feature on the computer or Switch. And this game came out last year. Metacritic score is 71, $15, and I couldn't find a real link to this. I didn't end up beating this game, so it's hard to tell, but it's overall a puzzle game, so there's a bunch of worlds, so it's probably just going to depend on that anyways. The graphics are on the cute side, so it's like general kids, everyone can play, but they looked really good. The levels were well designed. They took their time with it, so it looked very unique. This game is like a lemming style game where you have to move blocks and get the Melbits to the exit pipe in order to win, and you don't want to kill any off. They can fall off the world, end up running into bad guys, stuff like that. Overall, simple controls. On the PC, I had A and X, and that was it, and that controlled different levers or platforms or anything like that. There's a lot of detour areas you can go to collect these little Melbits in order to unlock a new one. And there's also gifts on each stage you can get as well. And when you collect enough stuff, you end up getting a sticker. And it continues like that. The odd parts of this game is there's no single player. So you need 2 to 4 people. And that's why you saw these 2 color blocks. And I was playing with the Xbox and PlayStation 4 controller because there's no keyboard support. So you need a controller here. And I can see this very good as a Switch game. And also the PS4 where you can use your phone to do the controls. With that being said, I do recommend this as a download with caveats. If you don't have a controller and it's only going to be you, don't download it. It's a weird game to play with 2 controllers. While I was doing these shots, I was playing with 2 controllers, and it was weird to keep track of what was what, and it made it not fun, but I can see this being fun for a game if you have kids or people over that ain't really into games. This is something you could kind of play and kind of open up the game world to them. And if you have kids, this is actually a game where you're kind of doing more problem solving, so that will help them out there too. And it's kind of basic. The puzzles do range from easy to extremely hard, so that's helpful. But like I said, the cons here is if you have no controllers or no friends, you probably want to stay away from this because you're not going to be able to play it. But hopefully you enjoyed this review. If you had any differences of it, please let me know in the comments. I'll be curious to know different people's styles of games. Other than that, peace.